Hello everyone, I'm back today with another video about owning Coatimundi as pets. This is the first video of a series that will cover everything you need to know about owning and caring for one of these animals. I decided to split them up into separate videos, because otherwise this video would be over an hour long. As the title suggests, this is about housing them. So, please settle in and enjoy. Oh, and before I get into this, I want to clarify that the information provided on the husbandry will mostly be directly cited from primary literature on caring for the species in captivity. There is an abundance of information available in scientific journals or directly from groups such as the American Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which is considered by many to be the best practice currently possible. This is actual information based on actual research and first-hand experience from these facilities, so please keep that in mind. Part 1. Housing. Before you even think about getting a Coatimundi, you need to have an outdoor or indoor enclosure built. Some people keep their quaddies indoors 24/7, free roaming the house, and while this could work theoretically, you would have to renovate the whole house to make sure they can't get into your pantry and destroy everything and eat all of your junk food, or do other things that would just generally destroy your house. So I don't recommend doing this. Having an outdoor enclosure allows the Coatimundi to have a space that it can be as messy as it wants in and enjoy more natural behaviors, while you can enjoy your own space to play video games, or watch TV, or spend time with your family. In terms of the specifics, while you may have seen some dubious sources claim that quaddies need a bare minimum of like a 100-foot long enclosure, and that anything else is animal abuse, and so on, this is not supported by any literature I know of and is purely opinion-based off of emotion and not in preference, not fact. The AZA recommends the minimum following space for a pair of Coatimundi. Logically, we could assume that if you were housing one Coatimundi, it would be smaller. But in general, the smallest recommended size is around a 10-foot long by 10-foot wide enclosure. As you can see, the size varies a lot, and this is because the primary goal of zoos is to have large and naturalistic exhibits for the public to view. Not to mention that these enclosures are housing pairs of Coatimundi, as mentioned before. But some of these sizes are still unfairly small for an adult Coatimundi unless it's spending most of its time in the house playing with you. So, if you're asking for my purely personal opinion on this, I'd say the minimum is a 20-foot long by 10-foot wide space. But it depends on how much it's out of its enclosure with you, for sure. The AZA recommend a similar sized enclosure for a kinkajou. Here is a photo reference from their care guide of how the animals are kept off exhibit or behind the scenes. What's actually more important than the size of an enclosure is what you furnish it with. You could give a Coatimundi a 200-foot long enclosure, but if it's just an empty grass area, they'd be bored real quick. For Coatimundi, it can be a bit difficult to design something that they'll enjoy, because the two main things they enjoy doing are investigating objects by completely destroying them and climbing. If you put a potted tree in front of a Coatimundi, for example, the first thing they will do is dig all of the dirt out of the pot out of curiosity. They will shred logs you add, if they are rotting at all, just to look for bugs to snack on. By their nature, they are curious and love to forage, which is absolutely great for entertaining them. They will have endless fun shredding logs or looking for mealworms in a sandbox. But it's not so good for you when you're trying to decorate an enclosure to make it not an empty grass area, especially if you're trying to make things look good. And the climbing part means any enclosure you build will need to have a roof made out of the same sturdy material as the rest of the enclosure. Low-gauge chicken wire or field fencing is not, and I say not, of sufficient strength to contain a quadrimundi. The wire is weak and it will break apart from the quadrimundi climbing on it. Cattle panels, chain link, or modular dog kennel panels, which I will link below, are great materials to use for constructing the enclosure. Back on the topic of furnishing, some ideas that work great are tire swings, wooden ramps, and platforms for them to climb and lounge on, and my personal favorite, primate hammocks. You may be more familiar with cat hammocks, but they are trash quality and will break. Not to mention the fabric they're made out of will get peed on and disgusting. Primate hammocks are very expensive and can only be purchased from specialty zoological supply stores, but they are worth every penny. Quadrimundi love hammocks. For the flooring of the enclosure, I recommend sand, dirt, or mulch. Or if the enclosure is built in a grassy area, just keep the grass. Quaddies like digging, and they also will root around with their nose like a pig. But keep in mind that you will have to clean whatever substrate you choose often. Quaddies tend to pick a few spots in the corner of their enclosure to poop in, but it will get messy, and sometimes people just opt for concrete or horse stall pads for ease of cleaning at the end of the day. That way, you can simply hose down the enclosure to clean it. Quadrimundi also enjoy water. If you are able to, I recommend giving them a kiddie pool, a small pond, or something easily cleaned to swim in. If you use a horse water trough to provide them with drinking water, be prepared to clean this every day. They will swim in it and make it disgusting. Not to mention, they have a tendency to urinate in the water. I really don't know why they do this. Ask Vega. Maybe he'll tell you. In warmer climates, mosquitoes will also lay eggs in the water and turn it into a disgusting, undrinkable mess within a night or two. Be prepared to clean the water often. Now, if you wanted me to summarize what you need for an enclosure in the simplest terms and in the most easily built way for the average person, a 10 by 20 by 6 welded wire dog kennel made from a company such as Lucky Dog or Paw Hut, with the roof panel add-on they include, or an equivalent. The tarp or shade cloth that come with these kits is not sufficient to keep a quadrimundi contained. Quadrimundi can climb and they will push on whatever the roof is made out of. The roof must be solid or has the same wire panels as the rest. This will cost you around $2,000. If you're using sand as the flooring, that will be around $300 to fill the enclosure depending on what depth you want. Dirt would be free. A tire swing or a saucer swing costs around $60. Wooden platforms, that depends, but let's assume around $100. A kiddie pool, around $30, and likewise a sturdy feeding trough or bowl is around $30 as well. A doghouse for them to hide in if they desire is going to be pricey, around another $100, but you could build one yourself if you wanted to. Random toys, like the ones you'd buy for a toddler, let's just tack on another $50. That's a lot of investment, and much greater than the cost of buying the quadrimundi itself. They go for around $800 these days, sometimes a bit more. When I got Vega, he was $750. You can, of course, find much cheaper ways to do this if you build everything yourself, like building the enclosure by hand instead of purchasing a pre-assembled kit. But the way I listed above would be the easiest for most people that don't have a talent for building. If you want a quadrimundi, this is something you need to seriously consider. If keeping it in the house doesn't work out for you, you need to have an outdoor enclosure. If you've never owned a quaddie before, imagine the following. You buy one as a baby, with this plan that it will be a house pet forever. And sure, it works out. The quaddie loves being inside with you. But maybe, as a first-time owner, you got yourself into too much to handle. As it grows up, you can't handle monitoring it 24/7. Or maybe it just doesn't enjoy being inside around your family and doesn't get along with them. Now what? You would have to scramble to get the money to build something to contain your Quatimundi, and that's a lot of stress. So, I recommend always planning for the worst possible scenario instead of the best. You have to be a realistic person if you want a Quatimundi. Be prepared for it needing an enclosure in the first place. Take those precautions and avoid getting into this ideal fantasy mindset, and your animal will be in a much better position. Thank you for watching my video. If this was helpful or you enjoyed it, please consider giving a like or subscribing to my channel. And if this topic interested you, then please look forward to the next part of this series on taking care of quaddies, where I will be covering everything from diet and feeding to enrichment, harness training, how to bathe your Quatimundi, how to handle it, how to interpret their body language, and even how to make toys of them. Have a great day!